hot topic in just about every household.
Oh yes, social media is a tool that many of us use, but it comes with dangers, especially when it comes to children.
That's right. So how do we keep them safe online? Professor of social media Matthew Taylor is a parent and he understands both sides of it. Welcome in.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Looking forward to this conversation. I have a 10-year-old. I have not allowed him to have his own social media pages yet. Of course, he looks at mine sometimes. So what advice would you give us?
Sure, and it's a difficult question. I think we need to acknowledge that from the start. As we mentioned, I'm both a professor and a parent, and it's difficult. I think I use the word tool and social media as a tool. I think that's a good way to think about it. And if we think about other tools, like when a child is in Scouts, say, and they have a Swiss Army knife, they're not just going to give it to them. They're going to provide some education on it, and they're going to try and minimize the risk. This is what it does. These are the benefits. These are the drawbacks. I think we need to think of social media the same sort of way. I think we need to think about educating ourselves and understanding these are the risks, these are the benefits, educating ourselves, educating our children, and then deciding what's the best path for our family.
I like that you talked about the risk, because there is a major risk when it comes to allowing children. So how do we manage or supervise these kids, and does it matter the age?
Sure, and there are limits and restrictions on when kids are supposed to join. Now, often kids will work around those, and we have to be aware of that. But I think one thing is looking at it as best as we can as a collaborative process. So there's the decision to begin with of, are we going to let our children be on social media? But beyond that, I think as we enter that process, if the answer is yes, trying to work with them and not make it seem as much as we are monitoring and really concerned, but this is a process where we're teaching. And I think as we do that, there are ways to observe their behaviors without it feeling as invasive. I think that if they feel it's invasive, that creates a certain feel around social media that also can encourage evasive behaviors. But I think if we look at it as collaborative, that also allows us into the feed, because we can monitor from the outside, maybe set up our own account, but in doing so, kids work around that, right? They have for years in social media. But if there's a way that we can get in that feed, see what they're seeing, because even if we're seeing what they're posting and feel comfortable, they can still be seeing disturbing things in their feeds. And so, I go back to when I was a kid and the Walkman was a technology, right?
Yes.
Dating myself here. But I can remember being on a walk with my dad and listening to music, and he just suddenly said, "Hey, let me have a listen." And I was terrified because not all of what I was listening to was appropriate. But that stuck with me, and I thought, boy, that spot check. It was just kind of a spontaneous thing, but it allowed him to not say, well, what are you listening to, but actually get in there. So I think if we can get in and be exposed to their feeds and just look at it as a collaborative process, that's helpful.
Oh, what were you listening to?
The Great Adventures of Slick Rick.
Nice.
Sorry, Dad, I apologize.
I love it.
Kids, do not go look that up on Spotify.
Parental advisory here.
Don't go there. You mentioned there were benefits to allowing children
Sure.
to use social media. What are some of those?
Well, and I'm glad you asked, because we often focus more on the risks, and I think there are benefits. I mean, I think one obvious one is connection. This is a way that kids and adolescents engage, and not just developing new relationships, but reinforcing existing relationships with their peers. There's a real value in that. I think also creativity. It's a creative space, and kids can develop creative skills in digital media, both through practice and observation of what others are doing. And then I'd finally say developing digital media literacy. It's an important skill, and I think that if we do have that collaboration with our kids, that it provides teaching moments. And I'll give you an example. My daughter came to me with a YouTube video, and she says, "Daddy, this is a video that's just been discovered, and it shows the Titanic as it was sinking from a passenger's perspective." But she says, I don't know that it's real. And so the easy answer would have been, no, it's not. Don't believe everything you see online. But instead, I asked her, well, what makes you think it's not real? And so she went through and identified what she considered as kind of factors that would say this isn't real. And then I shared, well, and what I see in this is these factors. And so together we came to this solution of, no, this isn't real, but I'm hoping in a process, in a conversation like that, she learns which questions to ask when I'm not around. How do I evaluate content? How do I ask good questions? And so I think that that can potentially be a value to it, of developing that digital media literacy.
It sounds like open-ended questions as an adult is a good thing too. Thank you so much.
Absolutely,
Great
thank you.
information.
I appreciate it.
Y'all check out MTSU's programs in the College of Media and Entertainment. You can visit media.mtsu.edu.